Welcome to the deep dive. Let's kick things off with a fact that might make you pause a bit. Did you know that a staggering 84% of organizations experienced an identity-related breach in just a single year?
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. And it's not just some random number, right? It really shows how complex our digital world has become. With all the digital transformation, cloud adoption everywhere, and um, obviously the massive growth of AI.
Exactly. The old ways of thinking about security, like a castle wall, they just don't apply anymore.
They really don't. The perimeter's basically gone. And identity. That's
Yeah.
become the main way in for the bad guys. So yeah, weak passwords, accounts with way too much power, those are still big issues, definitely. But what's really changing the game now, and this is where it gets fascinating, is the sheer number of non-human identities.
Okay, yes. This is the part that I find really mind-bending. We're not just talking people logging in anymore. We're talking bots, API keys, service accounts, all that stuff running behind the scenes, right?
Precisely. All the automated actors. And the projections are just, well, staggering. They're saying 45 billion non-human identities by 2025.
45 billion.
Billion. And get this, that means they'll outnumber human identities by about 46 to 1.
46 to 1. That's an enormous attack surface, just sprawling.
It really is. And
Okay.
it leads to the big question, doesn't it? In a world where most of your users aren't even human, how do you even begin to secure all of that? It's so dynamic, always expanding.
Okay, so that's the core challenge. And our deep dive today is set up to help you, the listener, understand exactly that. We're focusing on one company, Delinea, looking at how they're tackling this critical problem with their identity security platform.
Right. Our mission here is to pull out the most important bits from the sources we've looked at, Delinea's solutions, what they've been up to recently, and their vision for securing this AI future that's moving so incredibly fast.
Great. So let's unpack this. Where does Delinea sit in this whole identity market?
Well, they're definitely a major player. You'd have to call them a front runner, really, in what's already a huge, like $13 billion market for identity management. And they've made some really smart moves lately, especially in 2024, with a couple of key acquisitions.
Right, I saw that. Optimize and FastPath. And these weren't just, buying companies for the sake of it, were they?
Not at all. Authamize really boosted their capabilities in cloud identity discovery and analytics.
Hmm.
Think things like ITDR, CIM, CID. You'll get to those acronyms later.
Okay.
And then FastPath added serious muscle to their AI-driven audit and analytics, particularly around segregation of duties and automating compliance checks.
And what really stood out was how fast they integrated them, like 90 days. That's quick.
It really is. It says a lot about their operational focus and having a clear strategy. They're not just collecting companies, they're weaving the tech together. Plus, they're innovating internally too, right? Things like Delinea GPT and Discover AI. And financially, they're strong. Their annual recurring revenue was getting close to $400 million in 2024. That shows market confidence.
Okay, so leader status, smart acquisitions, solid financials. Got it. But let's talk about the actual solution, this cloud-native identity security platform.
Ah.
What's the core idea? What makes it tick?
So at its heart, it's a platform built in the cloud for the cloud, but also cover on hybrid stuff too. And crucially, it's designed for end-to-end protection of all identities.
Human and non-human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Across multi-cloud, SaaS, on-prem, wherever they are. And the key difference, I think, is that it's not just a bunch of separate tools bolted together. It tightly integrates these key components: ITDR, CIM, CID, AD analytics, and AI security.
Right, a holistic approach, because the gaps are often between the tools, aren't they?
That's precisely it. Vulnerabilities love those gaps. This aims for a unified view.
Makes sense. Okay, let's dive into those pillars then, because that's where the real detail is. First up, identity threat detection and response, ITDR. So imagine your security team trying to find that needle in a haystack, right? Or maybe a hacker hiding among millions of logins. That's where this comes in.
Yeah, basically, ITDR is about being proactive. It's about safeguarding your identity systems before things go wrong. It tackles threats like phishing, stolen credentials, insider threats, ransomware, using AI and machine learning to spot suspicious stuff in real time and then automatically responding. It really focuses on that identity attack surface.
So moving beyond just reacting to actually preventing attacks by locking down the paths attackers use?
Exactly. It's not just looking at the network firewall anymore. It's about who or what is trying to get in, regardless of where they are.
Okay, and it works across different environments.
Yep. Fully cloud, hybrid, on-prem. It hooks into your main identity providers like Active Directory, Entra ID, Okta, Ping, you name it. This gives you that broad visibility to spot the obvious things like brute force attacks or logins from, known bad places. But also the subtler stuff, like why is this session lasting so long? Or why did this user suddenly get admin rights?
Ah, okay. And then the crucial part, it actually does something about it. The automated response.
That's the key.
Mhm.
It can automatically trigger actions, like forcing multi-factor authentication or resetting a password it thinks is compromised, or even just killing a suspicious session outright. It also spots misconfigurations proactively, like accounts without MFA or using weak passwords, and it sends high-quality alerts to your SIEM system like Splunk or Sentinel, making your overall security response much sharper. Plus, the AI helps score risks, so teams know which potential threats to look at first, like those service accounts with too much power.
Right, so the benefits seem clear. Less risk of a breach, much better visibility, faster response times. I think I saw a stat, something like a 40% improvement reported by enterprise customers.
That's right, from a February 2025 press release. It makes a real difference.
Can you give us a quick example, like ITDR in the wild?
Sure. Think about a big global bank using AWS. They suddenly see a pattern that looks like credential stuffing hackers trying lists of stolen passwords. Delinea's ITDR spots this weird login activity in real time. It automatically enforces adaptive MFA, maybe asking for an extra code just on the affected accounts. Threat blocked within minutes. Potential breach avoided, customer data safe. It's about stopping it before the damage happens.
That's powerful, stopping it before it starts. Any recent updates to ITDR we should know about?
Yeah, in February 2025, they rolled out improvements to privilege behavior analytics, basically, making it better at spotting weird behavior and smarter real-time alerts. They also beefed up the SIEM integration with new connectors, all stuff showcased at RSAC 2025, highlighting those faster response times.
Okay, good stuff. Let's move to the next pillar. Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management, CIEM. This sounds like it's all about controlling who gets access to what in the cloud, taming the permissions beast.
That's exactly it. CIEM is all about enforcing least privilege in those super dynamic cloud environments like AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle Cloud. Least privilege. It's a fundamental security idea, right?
Yeah.
Give everyone, human or machine, only the access they absolutely need to do their job and nothing more.
Right. Limits the blast radius if something goes wrong.
Precisely. It shrinks your attack surface massively and makes proving compliance way simpler.
So it's like putting guardrails on your cloud, even when things are changing all the time, developers spinning things up, etc.
Yeah. It continuously discovers entitlements, who has what permission in real time. Humans, apps, machine identities across all your public clouds. Then it maps out the effective access. This is key. It shows you the hidden paths, like maybe a developer gets access to production data indirectly through some group membership they inherited, uncovers those hidden risks.
Ah, the indirect stuff. That's tricky.
Very tricky. And then it helps enforce least privilege by finding and suggesting removal of permissions that are stale, unused, or just excessive. And AI helps predict good adjustments here too.
And you mentioned compliance. How does it help there? Because that's always a headache.
Big time. It automates user access reviews, those periodic checks, confirming who still needs access to what, cuts down that manual grind, and it generates audit-ready reports for things like GDPR, APIA, SOC2. Customers were saying it cut their prep time for audits by up to 50%.
50%, that's significant. Security teams will love that. Any real-world example for CIM?
Yep. Think of a healthcare provider on Azure. They use CIM to really lock down permissions for their dev teams, made sure they couldn't accidentally touch patient data in production. This helped them nail their APA compliance, and they could generate the necessary audit reports in hours, not days or weeks. It's security and efficiency.
Clear win. What's new with CIM recently?
So the Authimize acquisition in April 2025 really supercharged it. Added more advanced ways to map out entitlements and a new cloud risk dashboard for a better overview. At RSAC 2025, they shared data suggesting CIM cut cloud misconfiguration risks by 30% for early testers. And there's new integration with AWS Identity Center too.
Okay, got it. Now let's talk continuous identity discovery, CID. This sounds absolutely essential given what you said earlier about the explosion of non-human identity.
Oh, absolutely critical. CID is like your high beam headlights in the fog of identity sprawl. It gives you real-time visibility into all your identities, human, non-human, service accounts, API keys, bots across all your different systems. It directly tackles that problem where organizations just lose track of who or what has access to their environment.
So seeing everything everywhere, even the stuff you forgot you had or never knew about?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
It finds identities across AWS, Azure, GCP, but also SaaS apps like Salesforce, Microsoft 365, and good old Active Directory. It then maps out those access pathways again, revealing the true effective access and highlighting hidden risks, like maybe a dormant account that still has powerful admin rights. It flags security gaps, too, like old credentials lying around or accounts missing MFA. And crucially, AI helps assess the risk, pointing you towards the identities you need to worry about most.
Right, prioritizing the biggest risks. So benefits are clear, no more blind spots, reduced risk, easier compliance because you actually know what you have. Got a CID success story?
Yeah, a tech company ran Delinea CID and was pretty shocked, actually. They found 500 dormant service accounts just sitting there in their Google Cloud platform.
500.
Yep. And these accounts had excessive permissions. Easy target for an attacker. CID found them, mapped what they could access, and the company quickly revoked those permissions. Huge boost to their security posture and helped them nail their SOC 2 requirements. It's like finding hundreds of old unlocked backdoors to your building.
Great analogy. Shows how dangerous those forgotten non-human accounts can be. What's the latest with CID? Any new developments?
Big one. In Q2 2025, they previewed something called Discover AI. It's a new CID feature designed specifically to find unsanctioned AI tools being used in the organization's so-called shadow AI.
Shadow AI. Okay, hang on. Why is that such a big deal? Explain that for us.
It's a massive concern. It means employees might be using public AI tools like, say, ChatGPT or other large language models for work stuff, maybe feeding it company data, without IT knowing or having any control.
Ah, I see. So data leakage risks.
Exactly. Sensitive data going into models you don't control, potential compliance violations, intellectual property walking out the door, even biased AI outputs you can't track or fix. Discover AI aims to shine a light on that hidden usage, which is critical since sources say 60% of companies see shadow AI as a risk.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a really important new capability for this AI age. Good. Let's move to AI-driven audit, or AIDA. This sounds like taking the pain out of audits, because audits are usually, well, painful.
That's absolutely the goal. Revolutionize identity governance, automate those audit processes, ensure you're continuously compliant with GDPR, SUPAO, SOC2, SOX, all the big ones. It uses AI and machine learning to make things like user access reviews much simpler, enforce segregation of duties, and even predict potential risks.
Less manual work, more intelligence. Every compliance team's dream, right?
Pretty much. It automates those user access reviews using smart workflows, cutting manual effort by potentially 50%. Its AI risk analysis spots overprivileged accounts, old credentials, and those crucial segregation of duties violations. You know, where one person shouldn't be able to both, say, approve and pay an invoice.
Right, classic internal control.
Exactly. It gives you audit-ready reports, pre-built templates, detailed logs, and it can even use predictive analytics to say, hey, you might have a compliance issue brewing over here. Allows you to fix things proactively. Plus, it visualizes access across your whole estate.
So faster audits, better security through least privilege and SOD enforcement, always on compliance. And I saw numbers like a 30% cut in audit costs.
Yeah. Customers reported significant savings. For example, a retail company used Ada to automate their SOC2 reviews for Salesforce. Ada quickly flagged some SOD conflicts employees having risky combinations of permissions. It generated the reports they needed in hours, not the weeks it used to take. Huge time and cost saver.
Hours instead of weeks for Salesforce compliance. That's impressive. What's new with Ada?
Well, a really cool development unveiled at Black Hat 2024 was the natural language query capability, powered by Delinea GPT.
Natural language,
Meaning someone without deep technical skills like an auditor or a manager can just ask a question in plain English, like, show me everyone who accessed the finance system last month, and get the report.
Wow, okay, that makes audit data much more accessible.
Game changer for usability.
Sure.
And then, in March 2025, they added enhanced SOD enforcement with specific templates for SOX and ISO 27001, making it even easier to meet those standards.
Very practical updates. Okay, next up is analytics. This pillar seems to be all about turning data into actionable insights for the security teams.
Yes, exactly. Empowering IT and security folks with AI-driven insights into what identities are actually doing. It uses privileged behavior analytics, PBA, audit data, risk scoring, across all your environments to not just spot threats, but ideally predict and stop them.
So it learns what normal looks like for each identity and then flags anything that deviates, even subtly.
That's the core idea of PBA. Establish a baseline, typical login times, locations, resources, access, stuff like that. Then it spots anomalies. Maybe a user logs in with a weird browser user agent, or an account that's been dormant forever suddenly springs to life. Or someone tries accessing sensitive data at 3 a.m. It triggers real-time alerts for the risky stuff and can tie into automated responses, force MFA, rotate a password, kill the session.
Yeah.
There's an intuitive dashboard to visualize risks and session recording for forensics if you need to investigate later.
Right, so the impact is truly proactive detection, easier compliance checks, and just better, faster decision-making based on real behavior. Got an analytics example.
Sure. Picture a software company. Delinea Analytics flags some really weird API key usage happening in their development pipeline, their CI/CD process. The PBA engine identifies it as looking like an insider threat trying to get to production systems. Critically, the system automatically terminates that specific session and alerts the security team immediately. It stopped a potential data leak or system compromise right in the middle of their core development workflow without disrupting everything else.
Wow, stopping an insider threat mid-action in a critical pipeline. That's impressive. What's the latest on the analytics front?
February 2025 saw them announce a 20% improvement in the accuracy of that PBA anomaly detection, which means fewer false alarms for busy security teams to chase. They also introduced context-aware alerts, which give more useful detail about why something is considered risky. And there was a compelling case study shared, I think, at #IDMNordics 2025 about a European bank that used Delinea Analytics to spot and stop a ransomware attack early, saving them potentially €2 million.
2 million euros saved. That certainly gets attention. Okay, finally, the last pillar, AI security. Given everything we've discussed about AI growth and those non-human identities, this feels incredibly important and very forward-looking.
It absolutely is. As organizations rely more and more on AI, securing the AI itself and all the identities it uses becomes paramount. Delinea's AI security solutions are specifically built for this, predicting LLMs, agentic AI, the pipelines that train and run them. It tackles new risks like shadow AI, misuse of credentials within AI systems, and even AI-powered attacks against your AI.
So it's not just securing the humans using AI, but the AI systems themselves and their own credentials and access.
Precisely. It starts with AI identity discovery, finding all those AI-related non-human identities and the shadow AI tools we talked about. Then, secure credential management. Vaulting and automatically rotating things like OpenAI API keys using secure templates. Critical stuff. It enforces least privilege for the AI infrastructure itself. Think just-in-time access, zero standing privilege. So AI components only get the access they need exactly when they need it. It also monitors AI sessions for anomalies, just like with human users, and provides audit trails for compliance and ensuring ethical, transparent AI use.
So protecting the AI investments, managing the shadow AI risk, and balancing that drive for innovation with solid security and compliance. Any real-world examples of AI security in action?
Yep, a media company heavily using OpenAI models. They use Delinea to manage the API keys, automatically rotating them and monitoring their use. Delinea Analytics detected someone trying to use a key improperly to access their AI content generation tools. It automatically enforced MFA, blocked the attempt, prevented a breach, protected their IP, and helped ensure their AI use stayed GDPR compliant.
Crucial. And recent developments in AI security.
Big ones. In April 2025, they launched Vault AI, specifically for automating credential management for large language models, and Secure AI, which enforces just-in-time access for AI servers, adding more layers. And that Discover AI feature we mentioned earlier, focusing on shadow AI, is slated for full release later in 2025. Early results from a tech firm beta testing showed a 25% reduction in unauthorized AI access incidents. Real impact.
Okay, that is a genuinely comprehensive suite of capabilities covering a huge, complex area. So let's pull back a bit. For an organization listening, trying to navigate all this, why Delinea? What makes them, stand out?
Well, first off, their industry leadership is pretty hard to argue with. Being named a leader by Gartner in the PAM Magic Quadrant for 6 straight years, 2019 through 2024, plus recognition from folks like Cole. That consistent validation speaks volumes. It's not just hype. It's proven capability.
6 years running is a strong track record, shows consistency, and clearly they're not just sitting back, given the innovation we've discussed.
Not at all. That R&D center in Israel, which came partly from the Optimize acquisition, seems to be really driving things. That's where Delinea GPT for natural language queries, Discover AI for shadow AI, their threat intelligence feed. That's where that cutting-edge stuff is coming from. They seem genuinely committed to pushing the envelope.
And practically speaking, for an organization thinking, okay, this sounds good, but is it going to take a year to implement? How's the deployment experience?
They really emphasize rapid deployment. Being cloud native helps a lot. It's built to integrate smoothly with AWS, Azure, GCP, identity providers like Entra ID and Okta, Seams like Splunk, using standard APIs and connectors. Typically, organizations can get it up and running in weeks, not months. And the claim is it needs 90% fewer internal resources to manage compared to some older legacy solutions. That's a big deal for stretched IT teams. Plus, there's a Delinea marketplace for extra integrations or customizations.
90% fewer resources. That's a huge efficiency claim. Okay, we've heard specific examples, but maybe highlight a couple more success stories that show how these pieces fit together for a holistic impact.
Sure, let's take a global manufacturer. They were getting hit hard by phishing and just couldn't get a handle on all their accounts. They brought in Delinea's ITDR and CIM. Result: they successfully shut down a sophisticated phishing campaign. And maybe even more importantly, they cut the number of overprivileged accounts by 35% across thousands of identities in AWS and Azure. That's a direct, measurable risk reduction.
Yeah, 35% reduction in overprivilege is massive. What about a heavily regulated sector, like healthcare?
Right, a big healthcare provider was wrestling with high PA compliance. They used NATA and CID. CID found 500 dormant service accounts. Big risk, gone. 8 automated their access reviews. Audit prep time went from 3 weeks down to just 2 days. Saved them about $50,000 a year just in audit costs besides improving security.
3 weeks to 2 days. Wow. And one more maybe for a tech startup, lots of AI.
Okay. Fast-growing tech startup using lots of LLMs. They adopted Delinea's AI security and analytics. Vault AI managed their critical API keys. Analytics then spotted an insider threat trying to steal data. The system stopped it automatically, potentially preventing a $1 million breach. Plus, they got their AI systems GDPR compliant within weeks. Secure innovation, basically.
These stories really paint a picture of the real-world impact, moving beyond just features. Okay, looking ahead then, what are the big trends you see shaping identity security, and where does Delinea fit into that future?
Well, the trends are definitely accelerating. Delinea's own labs predict AI-powered attacks will get 50% faster and smarter by 2026. The non-human identity explosion continues that 45 billion number by 2025. Zero trust isn't just a buzzword anymore. 70% of enterprises plan to adopt it by 2026, and regulations keep getting tougher. GDPR, CCPA, DORA in Europe, the pressure is on.
So faster attacks, way more non-human things to secure, a shift to zero trust, and more rules. Against that backdrop, what's Delinea's vision?
Their stated vision is pretty clear. Empower organizations to adopt AI and cloud with confidence. They aim to do that with a single, unified, AI-driven platform that manages the whole identity lifecycle, human and non-human. And importantly, integrating ethical AI principles and just keeping up that relentless pace of innovation, making sure identity is your strongest defense, not your biggest vulnerability as these trends unfold.
What a deep dive indeed. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. From that fundamental problem of identity breaches and the mind-blowing growth of non-human identities, all the way through Delinea's very comprehensive AI-powered platform designed to tackle these challenges head-on for both humans and machines.
Yeah, the goal really was to give you, the listener, that shortcut to getting truly informed, pulling out the key insights from all the sources without you having to wade through everything yourself. Hopefully there were a few aha moments there, seeing how identity connects all these different security dots.
Definitely. I think understanding that non-human element and the role of AI is crucial now. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. Given this rapid rise of AI and that explosion of non-human identities we talk so much about, how might your own organization need to fundamentally rethink its traditional security boundaries? And maybe more importantly, what steps could you take, perhaps starting today, to make sure that identity truly becomes your strongest line of defense rather than potentially your weakest link?